This NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship Race Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
And one last time before we go into the cold, cold winter, as Boji Joe says, it is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He, as always, is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. And Cody, today it is trucks. You ready? How long are you going to let me go?
As long as you can still be going. I wouldn't have stopped you, Rod. I'm not going to stop a trucks chain like that. Truck night in America. It's coming to us on Friday. Gonna crown us a champion, a first-time champion, Rod. None of these guys have won the title before, so whoever it is will be a first-time champion. I don't know why Boji Joe's going to miss us, though, Rod. It's the last pick show of the year. I get it, right? We'll be back tomorrow for DFS talk, though, and we're going to be here all off season. We're still going to have live shows, still going to be interacting, so don't go anywhere. I know that the racing will be over, but there is so much to talk about this off season. I'm excited for it. Jessica's here for her favorite episode of the week, always the Truck Series. Hey, guys, hope you had a good afternoon. She's going to miss us too, Rod. And then she says, trucks, let's go. One more time with the Truck Series, Rod. I'm excited.
I feel like I should release the opening as its own episode. That way, if you really do feel like you need a fix, just play the intro and then you can just feel like, because listen, I know that sometimes, Cody, when I remember the old days of the 06010 Fantasy Football Podcast with Matthew Berry and Stefania Bell and even before Phil Yates when we had Nate Ravitz, right? And that theme song became part of my every single day. That theme song was, and then they changed it, and I wanted to riot. So I get it. I know how these things can become part of your life, and so maybe I'll just release it as a theme song for you guys to listen to, and you guys can get your fix whenever. I don't know. Whatever it is you need to get through the day, we'll help you get through the day.
The episodes live on forever, Rod. You can always go back and re-listen to the beginning of these episodes. Boji just said he was just giving us a segue, so appreciate that. Dos Flacco's checking in. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Hopefully Dos Flacco's listened yesterday. Heard us talking about Stone Cold Custard. I fucked that up, Rod. Stone Cold Custard is where I was going with that. And I just completely fucked it up. So that's what happens when we're live.
How many weeks has it been? Listen, man, as much as the drivers say that they've been through the rigmarole, like that, when we're broadcasting it 5 days a week, like these guys get in and drive 1-2 days out of the week. Like we're on every damn day. So I can understand our fatigue as well, but no, definitely love you guys. And yes, Boji Joe, like winter. Look, the Starks had it right. Winter is coming, but that's all right because we still got plenty to talk about, like Cody said, and we'll continue to do that. But today we're talking trucks, and that is what we're here to do as the Truck Series, like Cody said, crowns their champion. And we've got some picks for you as we always do. But you know what? The college basketball guys do too. College basketball is back. And if you aren't already subscribed to the college football, the college experience for their daily picks podcast, breaking it all down, something's wrong. Go over there. I mean, look, we're going to be scaling down our episodes here, but they're going to have plenty to keep you occupied until racing comes back in full force. So make sure to go subscribe to the College Experience and support Colby Dant and Moneyline Mac. And of course, thank you for always listening to this podcast, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We really do love what we're seeing right now, the next explosion of ratings, and you guys are leading the charge on that one. So if you could continue to tell your friends, grab your friends' phones, grab their friends' phones, grab your grandma's phones, download Spotify, just toss a 5-star rating our way. I'm not, I don't advocate stealing strangers' phones on subways because that's how you get hurt, but they're asleep. It's fair game, right? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Stop. This is all in jest. But now listen, all those 5-star reviews, they definitely are turning the boss's heads and we love it. So make sure to continue to do that and prevent corporate gambling from taking over the space 5 stars at a time. Cody, we're at Phoenix, my friend, for the truck race, the last race of the season. Trucks fanning out 5, 6, 7 wide, trying to jump onto the flat part of this track. It's going to be chaos, but I'm going to love it, man.
It is going to be chaos, and we saw last season, Rod, this turned into quite a chaotic race with some Truck Series guys going after each other at the end of the race, and one guy costing another guy shot at a championship, another guy costing him back his shot at the championship, and it was chaotic, it was crazy. I think that we're going to see some things put into place to stop that from happening this week, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's the Truck Series. It's always exciting. It's always competitive and always fun to watch, Rod.
And if you do it, don't say anything on the radio about what you're doing. Just don't. That should be the first rule of
For the love of God, have we not figured this out, Rod? Jesus.
No, because back in the day, you couldn't monitor every single driver's radio. And if Dale Earnhardt said, I'm sending the guy, the only person that heard it was his crew chief. And so now, like, not only are the people listening on the NASCAR Plus app, but the satellite bouncing off of Russia hears it, like everybody hears it. So whatever you're doing, just don't announce it. But yeah, set for 150 laps around this 1 mile paved track for 150 miles in the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. Friday nights, buddy, Friday is when we're doing this race. So make sure you guys get it set accordingly, because I know we've had a couple of Saturday doubleheaders, but this is Friday nights back under the lights where it belongs.
Yeah, absolutely. Friday night. And just to note, we're live right now. It's 4:00 here in the Central Time Zone. Practice starts in 2 hours. So there's potential that lines will shift a little. So if you're listening to this live, I would maybe get your bets in early if you want to make sure. Some stuff might shift afterwards. Of course, hit us up in the Discord always. We can talk about stuff there, but the truck episode, I mean, the odds didn't come out till late last night. It's hard to really do it much earlier. So this is what we're giving, Rod, and this is what we have. Laura, she's late to the party, but she says, howdy. Hi, Laura. Good to see you as well. And I saw our buddy Andrew checking in as well. Let's go finger. Rod started out the show with the trucks chant. I'm going to have the finger chant here in a little bit. So don't worry. Stay tuned for more of the finger, Andrew. Okay, Rod.
Wait, what proctologist are we seeing? Boji Joe wants to know how many kilometers, Rod. This is about 2.5 kilometers. Am I right? Did the math check out? 150 miles, about 2.5 kilometers.
What's the SNL skit about?
Not 2.5. I'm sorry, 250 kilometers.
The SNL skit about we're going to have our own weights and measures.
Yes,
that's how I feel. So
yes, that skit.
All right, Rod. There's 35 trucks entered for this race at Phoenix. William Swalich back in the number 1 truck for Tricon Racing. Marco Andretti back in the 04 for Corey Roper. Brett Moffitt is going to be back in that 4 car for that new racing team, the Hetton Racing. Of course, they took over the Brett Holmes operation. Connor Mosack back in the 7 for Spire. Frankie Muniz getting some reps in the 27, the Rayum Brothers truck. That is the truck he's going to be racing full-time next season. Why? What did Bob do here? I'm so confused. Oh, there we go. 44. Sorry. I'm reading off Bob Pykers is basically my cheat sheets. I just read off everything he posts. But the 44 is going to be Stephen Parsons. He's jumping into a Nice truck for this race. Of course, he's been driving the 75 truck a majority of the season. So different ride for him there. And Connor Jones returns after his 1 race suspension. He will be back in the 66 truck again this week for Thor Sport. Rod, 2 pieces of news I wanted to get to really quickly as well. RFK has announced Matt McCall will not return to RFK Racing in 2025. That's Brad Keselowski's crew chief. He's out the door. The rumors are Jeremy Bullins, who was with the Wood brothers, with Penske before that. He's been with Brad before. Potentially a Brad Keselowski reuniting there. Obviously, we've sort of talked extensively over the year about how it's been a little disappointing from the RFK camp, right? I know Brad finally got back in the win column, but in an overall sense, it's been disappointing. So making some changes over there might be a good thing for them.
Yeah, I mean, I just hear the song "Reunited," and so maybe Brad being reunited is a good thing. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see next season. We had high hopes for RFK, and unfortunately, it just sort of did not materialize the way we wanted it to do. As far as Connor Jones is concerned, does he have the snowplow attached to the front of his truck? That's what I want to know. Is he ready for the demolition derby that will come out?
Rod, he's learned his lesson, and he won't do that anymore. But we'll have to see how that goes. One other piece of news: Corey Heim, he's got a ride for next season. Rod, he's going to return to Tricon, stay in the number 11 for a third full-time season. Of course, he's one of the 4 drivers going for the championship this weekend. Maybe he will win that championship. I will say, Christian Eckes is leaving the series. Could be a lot of Heim time next season for sure.
Well, and wouldn't that be the most strategic move to make, right? Especially if you're Tricon and you know that Corey Heim's been waxing the floor with everybody. Like, you know that he's going to get an Xfinity ride at some point, right? Keep him back now that Eckes is gone.
He's probably going to go straight to Cup, but
you think so?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. He seems to be on the Carson Hosevars. Well, he seems to be on the Zane Smith path, I would say, most comparatively. So I think that's probably the future plan for him, but I think a lot of that requires sponsorship and stuff, which he doesn't necessarily have. So hopefully they can sort of figure that out. But yeah, Eckes is going to be gone. Taylor Gray is going to be gone. Some of these guys moving up. William Swalich is just skipping the trucks altogether, essentially. Not going to run a full-time season, going to Xfinity. So, it'll be interesting to see what competition, if any, Corey Heim has next year.
I would think that there would be somebody that would step up. I would hope that there would be somebody that would step up because I'd hate to see, or maybe not. I don't know. I love
Bodie Joe hit it on the head. Lane Riggs. That's exactly who it's going to be.
Oh, that would be a fantastic head-to-head battle. I
can't wait. I hope that they sleep a little bit on Lane Riggs championship odds for next year because, I'm very, very excited for Lane Riggs next year. Maybe my Jake Garcia prophecy will finally come true, Rod. Probably not.
Maybe it will. Maybe Roger Carruth steps up. Who knows?
Yeah, Carruth actually could be one that we could have to worry about as well. So it's gonna be fun. We'll have all off season talk about it too.
Yeah, we will. So we'll get to the bets and we'll get to the race that is at hand this Friday night. But before we do, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus, biggest. It's huge for all of sports. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, and so much more. You can use specials and boost on all of your flexed entries as well. Hey, tune in tomorrow. We're going to give you some of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays for the Cup race. And then make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel for notifications when we put our picks up there for the Xfinity and for the trucks or for F1 next week too. Just make sure you keep an eye on that. In the meantime, though, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to get a special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. All right, Cody, it is time to get to the bets. Although Bodie Joe would very much like for Jessica to stop at the Chris Wright. But hey, man,
I am curious if there's some sort of connection that she has to Chris Wright because he doesn't really race ever. And she always brings him up, which is great. It's good to be a fan. But and yeah, Andrew too, Riggs and Honeycutt. Honeycutt's going to be interesting full-time next year. All right, I'm already sold, Rod. It's not just going to be the Heim Time show next season. Maybe it won't even be the Heim Time show this week, Rod, because let's go Finger. That's right, Andrew. I'm all over Mr. Grant Enfinger this week. And it's going to start with his top 5. Plus 125, Rod, for the Finger to finish inside of the top 5. I'm sort of surprised that we're getting this number. Again, he's one of the championship 4, and just to go back and set that up, right? It is Grant Enfinger. He's been locked in Rod, he's been locked in since, what did I see? October 4th, I think, is when the Talladega race was. So that's how long he's been locked into this race. And by the way, Brian Twining checking in. What's up, gents? Reporting live from Phoenix Raceway.
So
Let's
jealous.
go.
So
Very jealous. Yes, I wish we were there, but awesome that you're there. That's exciting. Love that. But yeah, Grant Enfinger's been locked into this race for a long time. Of course, Corey Heim is joining him. Christian Eckes joining him as well. And Ty Majeski is also going to be in this race for the championship. And like I mentioned before, whichever one wins, first-time champion, Rod. None of them have won the championship before. Back to the Enfinger top 5. JDK saying it's plus 160 over on Bet365. That's an even better number. So if you can get that, go get it, please. He's been pretty good, though, Rob. 6th place finish here last season, 6th place in 2022, a couple of 13th place finishes before that, but then a 5th and a 4th place in the previous starts before that. A little bit of a hot streak for Mr. Enfinger here as of late. He won 2 of the last 3 races. Of course, he won at Homestead, Miami a couple of weeks ago. He won at Talladega a couple of weeks ago. Had a pretty good run going last week at Martinsville. Kind of some strategy didn't work out for them. I think he ended up finishing in 9th place. So the greatest of days, but again, he was locked in, kind of on their own program, do whatever, and rolled some dice that didn't work out. Not too worried about that. But you go back, you look at North Wilkesboro, 2nd place there. IRP, 3rd place there. 4th place at Richmond. He's been good at the short tracks. He's been good at the short flat tracks. You like to see that. Remember when the season started, Rod? So Grant Enfinger had been with the 24 team, with GMS, kind of a powerhouse team, so to speak, in the Truck Series. They folded at the end of last year, right? That was it. No more GMS. And they sold a lot of their equipment, a lot of the team. Everybody kind of went separate ways. The CR7 team had been established. It had been sort of around, but not very good. We heard rumors that Enfinger got better opportunities than this and turned it down because he wanted to go help them build this program up. He believed in what they were doing. Well, that seems like it's done pretty well, right? He's in the championship 4. He's won 2 of the last 3 races. Things worked out. So the season started off a little slow, a little rocky. We kind of kept going back and forth. You can't really trust this equipment. We don't know what we're getting. Then, Rod, it started to click, and they figured it out. Over the last 13 races, he has 2 wins, 6 top 3 finishes, 10 top 10 finishes. Grant Enfinger has been on fire. He's made it to this championship round. He's a veteran driver, as we've talked about a lot with him. I mean, you've got young guns in this, right? Eckes is a young guy. Corey Heim's a young guy. Majeski's been around for a while, I guess. So he's more of a veteran, but he's not a grizzled Grant Enfinger. I think Grant Enfinger's like 40. He's a grizzled veteran, right, Rod? So he's going to be able to handle this. He's the gray beard. He's got the grizzly voice, right? So I like it. I think Grant Enfinger is going to show up this weekend. And all we need for this bet, just a top 5 finish at the end of the day, Rod, at plus 125, plus 160, like JDK was saying over on Bet365. So, love the finger this week. Not done talking about the finger, Rod. All about the finger this week. But give me the finger, top 5, plus 125. Don't sleep on the finger, Brian.
Don't sleep on your finger because it'll fall asleep and then, whatever.
They were extremely confident they'd be here at the start of the year. Love to hear it.
It's true.
And two, just since mentioned start of the year, all the other series, we had a spring Phoenix race to go back and look at. Truck Series doesn't come here during the spring. They don't come here at all until the championship race. So until, last season and previous seasons is kind of the only Phoenix stuff we have to look at. Otherwise, it's going to be short flats and short tracks throughout the season.
Yeah, and so honestly, I'm 100% with you on it, on Enfinger. And like we've been talking about all week long, as far as these championship drivers are going to factor into the mix, right? They're going to be around the front. We've seen it every single season that they factor into the end of the race. Maybe not, they don't finish 1, 2, 3, 4 every single time, but at least for a majority of the race, they're going to be somewhere in the vicinity of each other, because that's how you have to race. That's how you have to do it. You have to beat the guy that's the first guy in line for the championship 4, and you can't do that if you're running 13th and everybody else is running 1st through 3rd. So you got to have to keep up, and you got to do whatever you're going to do. So yeah, Enfinger top 5. I can't believe that a championship driver is at plus money for a top 5. He's being disrespected all over the place, and that's fine. Sleep on the finger all you want. Right. Go ahead and make it fall asleep, but
sleep on that finger, Rob.
Sleep on that finger. You know who I'm not going to sleep on in this particular race? That's Ben Rhodes. I know that he has been atrocious as of late. I know that his truck has been not the greatest. I know that he's not running for a championship this year, and I get that, but he's matched up against Tyler Ankrum this week. I was going to take the Ankrum side of this because I initially was like, no, Ben Rhodes can't do it, can't figure it out, and he's been so bad lately, and it's terrible, right? But then I was like, because you look at the finishes on this track for Ben Rhodes, and they're not all that bad, to be honest with you. He's on a streak of 5 straight top 10 finishes going back to 2019. Now, granted, some of those were in championship runs. I get it. I know.
Scares me.
But by the same token, a 4th place in 2019, a 7th place in 2020, 3rd place in 2021, 2nd place in 2022, and then a 5th place in 2023. So he has, like I said, been on a fantastic run of finishes. Now, look, and I just got done referencing the junk season that he's had for the most part, right? He did make it to the playoffs, but still he averaged a 15.7 average finish over the course of the season, and his results since Bristol. I mean, Cody talked about it, right? These guys, they barely have a race once every 5 years. So it's very difficult to get into rhythm. But when you're in a bad rhythm, it makes it even worse, right? So 27th at Bristol, 22nd at Kansas, 15th at Talladega, 12th at Homestead. He did finish runner-up in Martinsville last week, but Cody was talking about these mile tracks, these flat tracks, right? IRP, 21st. Nashville, good respectable 7th place finish, but North Wilkesboro, 22nd. Texas was 24th. Martinsville was 14th. Like, not a whole lot to hang your hat on, but for whatever reason, when it comes to Phoenix, he's good. And it doesn't matter if he's in a playoff race or not. He's just still good at Phoenix. Last season, too, you can kind of point to that, where if you look at some of the finishes from the tracks that aren't necessarily conventional, a 33rd at North Wilkesboro, a 16th at IRP, a 16th at the Milwaukee Mile, 25th at Kansas, right? But then 5th place at Phoenix. So something about this particular track in general is where he feels comfortable. And I don't think it matters. As a matter of fact, it may even work in his favor that he's not running for a championship. There's no pressure. Now all he's got to do is just go out and be a good truck. Tricon trucks are good. Hashtag we know this already, right? So I think he's going to be a little more relaxed. I think he's going to be able to run his race. We saw it last week at Martinsville, right? Where he came in runner-up, and he was able to drive a really good race. We weren't expecting that from him, honestly. And so there he showed us up. Tyler Ankrum, on the other hand, we've talked about him so many times over the course of the season. His average finish 12.5, which is great. He's had a good solid run since IRP, and you can go back to Nashville for his 5th place finish there. 4th at IRP, 6th at Richmond, 6th at Milwaukee, 10th at Bristol, 14th at Kansas, 14th at Dega, 5th at Homestead, 8th at Martinsville. But the reverse is true of Tyler Ankrum. On this particular track, no bueno. 14th, 22nd, his last 3 finishes on this track as part of this 16/26 experiment for him. So, I mean, look, to me, this is all about how you're performing on this track. Neither one of these guys have anything to go for. So now it's just a matter of who can run the best. And I think if Ben Rhodes has had all the success that he's had on this track, whereas Tyler Ankrum hasn't, I'm going to give the edge to Ben Rhodes. So give me Ben Rhodes over Tyler Ankrum.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I looked at Ben Rhodes, and I liked his top 5 number because of his history here. But then it's like, wow, a lot of those were championship 4 races. Like, we know how good he is, obviously, in the playoffs, right? And to win the championship. But I think the 2nd place last week is still, shows you he's still going for it, and he still cares, and he can still show up, even, being out of it at this point. So I do like that. And, yeah, I know you've had your Ankrum love all season. I've just never really been able to get on that train, so I don't have a problem fading him, Rob.
Well, and it's not that my Ankrum love is completely out of left field. I've read you off some of the great finishes that he's had over the last few starts, but like here, I can't necessarily get that love going, and I can't give you a top 5 because I don't think he's going to finish in the top 5. I can't give you Ankrum as a top anything because this track in particular, and he's not going for anything. So I don't know that I feel comfortable. And we don't get top 10s, or else I give him as a top 10, right? So
yeah, I like it.
At least for this season anyways. Maybe we can, again, like we said, change that.
Yes.
Next year. All right. We'll get to more bets on the other side of this break, but I would like to tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, Copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you more betting insights. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app as well. Plus, Rhythm just launched their college basketball model, so take full advantage of that. Been working on my model all morning long because I want to know on which side of the Derrick Henry prop I should be on, especially the rushing yards is in specific, because need Derrick Henry to go crazy, not only for my fantasy team, but also because I just want to give the higher side of whatever he's going to be on. So using Rhythm to build that, hopefully it backs me up and says whatever the number is, go higher, because Derrick Henry is going to run for 2,000 yards against the Bengals this week. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency, go Dogecoin, hold, and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. We always give you our favorite BetUS bets throughout the course of the show. So make sure you are listening for those and go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book.
All right, Rod. Next up for me, we just talked about Caden Honeycutt, how good he's going to be next season. I'm going to tell you how good he's going to be this week, Rod. 6-1 for a top 5 for Caden Honeycutt. Really, really like this bet. Caden Honeycutt, if you don't know, kind of an up-and-coming driver. Like Ross Chastain seems to have taken him under his wing. He's helped him out a lot, getting him to where he is. He's a Cars Tour guy, right? The late model short track scene. You think short flat track should translate here. Well, Rod, he's raced in this race in particular the last 2 seasons. Last year, he did it in the Young number 02 truck, the Young's Motorsports truck. That's not a good truck, Rod. There's not really another way to put it. It's not a good truck. And he finished in 8th place. This season, he's going to be in a NASCAR truck, which are pretty good trucks, right? They're not the top of the line, but they're good. And we've seen what talented guys like Ross Chastain and Carson Hosvar can do in them. That's why I'm excited for Honeycutt next year. But 8th place last year in the Young's 02 truck, Rod, in this race, the championship race, with all the stuff about, like, he's showing up here and he's ready to race and he's going to have himself a good day. Well, okay, you think that was a fluke? Well, in 2022, he raced here in the number 30 on point truck. That's worse than the Young's Motorsports number 02 truck. And he finished in 9th place, Rod. So 2 seasons in a row, he's been 8th, 9th place in not good trucks. Now he's in a pretty decent truck. And he's going to be, and you're hitting him 6-1 for a top 5 when he was 3 and 4 spots out of it the last 2 years. That's when he was running even more of a limited schedule. Still ran a limited schedule this year, but more regular of a limited schedule, I guess. And he's going into it knowing that this is his ride next season. You got to love that. And he's had some good runs this season. He was 4th at both the Kansas races. Obviously, that's not a super comp track, but also in the Truck Series, it's more just total body of work than anything, right? We don't have a ton of comp tracks. So 4th place is right there, 7th at Charlotte, 9th place at Martinsville back here in the spring. Just short flat track for you there. So you like to see that. I like what Honeycutt's done. I like what I've seen from him. And he's been this good the last 2 years in shitty trucks, Rod. That's the biggest thing, is he's almost cashed the top 5 for you the last 2 years in bad trucks. Now you put him in a good truck. I love that for Caden Honeycutt. So give me Honeycutt top 5 at 6-1.
It's been fun actually watching him run well and run up front. I mean, it's one of those things where you love to see a truck like that, a guy like that, kind of mix it up with the Heims and the Eckeses and the Enfingers and the Majeskis and the Rhodes, right? Because not a lot of people were on Caden Honeycutt before this season started, and now it's kind of hard to ignore. And you're right, when he's almost, I mean, when you're cracking the top of that higher echelon, people start to notice. And so hopefully next year the books don't adjust, and I think we'll be able to catch them kind of sleeping. Oh, I'm sorry, I should not say anything. We'll just continue to like Honeycutt, and we'll continue to cheer for him.
Let him sleep.
Yeah, seriously, let him sleep. Let him sleep on the finger and Honeycutt, and we'll get them there. All right, listen. I'm going to go with one of my favorite guys. I'm going back to the well again, and that is going to be the Sanchez top 5 truck plus 135. if there's anybody that is going to be mixing it up with the championship for, it's going to be Nick Sanchez, because that is what he does week in and week out. Nick Sanchez, average finishing position of 9.6 so far this season. Top 5 at Martinsville, top 5 at Bristol, top 4 at Milwaukee. Yeah, it was a rough IRP race for him. 10th place finish there, but 3rd at Gateway, 7th at North Wilkesboro, 3rd in Texas, 4th at Martinsville. I mean, it's Nick Sanchez, right? I mean, I almost don't feel like I have to continue to say it over and over and over again, but I will, because I think he is talented enough to have should been in the conversation for the championship. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out that way, and I think he's out to still prove that he's talented enough to be in the championship mix. And so how do you do that? Well, you go out and you run well on Phoenix, and he's done that already. He did finish 10th. I know that's not a 5th place finish, but we don't get top 10s, damn it. But that 2 truck last year, he started 3rd and finished 10th. He actually led 5 laps in that race as well. So, I mean, the number's a little short, but still, for a guy at plus 135 that I'm pretty confident is going to be, like I said, mixing it up with the leaders, mixing it up with the championship guys. And he's not going to cut him any slack either. He'll be respectful, but I know he's out to win this race too, because he's a young driver, right? He's there to win races and to try to put himself into next year's championship conversation. So I'm 100% sold on the fact that Sanchez can finish in the top 5 at plus 135. And then Cody, I don't do this, but I'm doing this today. I'm going to, we're going to talk about it.
Hold on. Let the record show. I did not put more than 1 bet in any of my boxes other than the outright box, right? I didn't squeeze any extra bets in here, but Rod's pulling the extra bet card this week. You know that means it's a bet he likes.
Hey, it's the last truck episode of the season, and I got to get something in there. But yeah, we're going with Michael Waltrip's favorite son, Daniel Dye, 20-1 as a top 5 truck. This one is not as rock solid of a case as the Sanchez, but I do believe it has promise. He did finish 7th at Homestead. I know that's not the mile track, but he finished 8th at Milwaukee. Bad day at IRP, but 12th at Gateway, 9th at North Wilkesboro, 9th at Kansas, 6th in Texas. He's been knocking on the door of some really fantastic finishes this season. He does have 9 top 10 finishes all year long. So again, it's not like I think this is going to be a slam dunk, but I think if some crazy stuff happens, he's going to be in the top 10, right? And all it takes is for a couple of teammates to not play nice, or a couple of playoff drivers to not play nice, and all of a sudden, here comes Daniel Dye around the outside, swooping past a couple of cars that he needs to get inside the top 5 at the end of the race. A late restart re-racks everybody. I don't know. Something happens, and a 20-1 sneaks into the top 5. We've seen it before, Cody. We'll definitely see it again by the end of our lifetime, and I think this is a decent opportunity for Daniel Dye on his way to the Xfinity Series, right? We know he's going to drive for Colleague next year, so he's going to have that full-time ride, and who knows? He's not doing the Truck Series next year, right? This is it for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's going to be full-time Xfinity. Whether he still makes some appearances in the Truck Series, he may or may not. But yeah, he will be full-time Xfinity for Colleague.
Yep, and so there you are. And so this will be his last truck race as a full-time driver. So why not try to just leave it all on the table and put that 43 truck inside the top 5? So, and we're going to get some great camera angles out of it, if nothing else. But yeah, give me Daniel Dye, 20-1 top 5, and then the Sanchez plus 1, what did I say, 35? Yeah, as a top 5 truck as well.
Yeah, I like it. Oh boy, Sanchez again. You seem to be right on him a lot, Rod. So I'm just going to roll with you on that. Just a guy that the number's so short. I don't necessarily love that, but I do love the Daniel Dye play at this number. All right, Rod. Boji Joe keeps bringing it up. He won't stop talking about it. He says this is a perfect time, Rod, for you to say Stuart Friesen. Too bad, Rod. You can't say Stuart Friesen because I beat you to the document. Stuart Friesen, top 5, 11-1. What are we doing, Rod? 11-1 for Stuart Friesen. Come on, guys. Have you watched the Truck Series here lately? Much like Grant Enfinger, bad start to the season, but he's figured it out here lately. He's been top 10, 3 of the last 5 races. 24th place in this race last year, so not a good showing, Rod. But prior to that, 6 top 6 finishes in a row at Phoenix. He's been good at this track. Those 6 races include 4 top 5s and a win back in 2019. Stuart Friesen can get it done at this track. Like, again, it's been a disappointing season overall. We've talked about it multiple times here lately. He was really close to cashing some bets for us here lately. This is another chance to get it, but 11-1 for a guy who's been within a single spot 6 of the last 7 times we've been to this track and in this race. That's seemingly figured some stuff out, Rod. I guess we're going to talk about this tomorrow on the fantasy show, but I'll make the point again, even though I know that I'm going to make it tomorrow. He's not giving up on this, right? He's a through and through racer. Like he's probably racing right now as we speak, some modified track somewhere in the Northeast. He's going to get down to Phoenix, run his truck, and then get back out to racing. He doesn't have 1 foot already on the beach in Cabo. He is just a racer at heart. He's going to show up. He's going to give it his all. He's been good at this track. They've sort of figured it out here lately. Let's carry that positive momentum into the offseason. Stuart Friesen, top 5 at 11-1.
I will, on the show, have a big plate of poutine if he ends up a top 5 truck. That would be I want to do it anyways because I love me a good set of fries covered with gravy and cheese curds. However, I will do that in honor of Stuart Friesen because, yeah, I mean, he's, again, our favorite Canadian that's actually from Canada and not from California that's from Canada. So I love it. Yes, 2 plus 50, Boji, is 52. And yes, Canada, our home and native land. All right. My next bet. I wanted to take Lane Riggs, and I wanted to take Lane Riggs as a top 3 truck. And then I saw it was plus 100. I wanted to take Lane Riggs as a top 5 truck. And then I saw that the number was horrendous and I didn't want to take that either. So I said, well, why don't I just go ahead and take Lane Riggs as the top 5 truck, by the way, is minus 140. So I said, here's what I'll do. I will take Lane Riggs as a top Ford at minus 115, because to me, that is where I feel like he is going to settle in. And if he is a top 5 truck, then so be it. But at least if he finishes 6th and he finishes ahead of the likes of, Garcia and McGee and Frankie Muniz and Lawless Allen and Connor Jones and Matt Crafton and Ty Majeski and Ben Rhodes, then that's all fantastic, because all it takes is for Majeski, Rhodes, and Crafton to get caught up in the nonsense, right? And then here comes Lane Riggs, and he's there. Or, and this doesn't even matter if Lane Riggs ends up finishing 2nd, and let's say Heim wins or Eckes wins, and then that's the championship for you. And Lane Riggs is in 2nd place or even in 3rd place, and it's Eckes and Heim and in 1-2, right? Well, then you're still cashing this bet. So for me, I feel like it's way more likely that Riggs finishes as the top Ford, and you make more money off of this, because if he doesn't finish in the top 3, well, you wasted a bet, because if 4th place finish, it's like, because they're going to be, it could be Eckes and then Heim and then Enfinger, right? Those 3. And then here's a 4th place truck that's a Toyota or a Chevy. And then there's another Toyota or a Chevy. And then there's Riggs, right? So like there's more opportunity for you to cash this bet than for you to count on a top 3 or a top 5 for Lane Riggs. And so I feel like this gives you a lot more leeway at a comparable number to his top 5. Because what if he does finish 6th and the 5 cars in front of him are Chevys and Toyotas? Now you're at a top 5 bet, but he's the top Ford. So this kind of covers you on that instance. So we've talked about Riggs all season long. He did finish 6th at Martinsville, right? Just to your point, this is a 6th place finish. So you didn't cash the top 5, but if he was the top Ford in that instance, then you would have cashed that as well. 2nd at Kansas, 1st at Bristol, 1st at Milwaukee, 5th at IRP, 5th at Gateway as well, 3rd at North Wilkesboro. So some solid finishes all season long. But I would like to play the top Ford card, because I feel more comfortable that can cash, and you're not pissed off if he finishes in 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually like this. The top Ford and the trucks especially has been one I like to target, because really, it's Riggs and Majeski at the top. They're tied. Majeski sort of scares me because he isn't the Ford. We know what he's capable of on short tracks, right? But we also know what he's capable of, Rod. So, but then it's like Rhodes, Crafton. Then, yeah, like you said, Garcia, Allen, Jones, like not much other competition there. So I do like this bet. And like Boji Joe said, why can't he win? If you watch the last 3 short tracks, I mean, he's really figured it out here lately. We just talked earlier in the show about how we're going to love him next season. So yeah, I like this bet as well. TK checking in from down under. Isn't trucks practice in 25 minutes? It is in an hour and 25 minutes. Yes. So get those bets in soon and quick if you can. Otherwise, yeah, they might change a little bit. But again, timing and win odds come out. Not a ton we could do about it, but that's how it goes, Rod. All right, next up for me, I got one more long shot top 5. It worked for us last week. Let's run it back, right? Chase Purdy, 12-1, Rod. They didn't learn after getting hit last week when we hit him. And they bring it back down and give it to us at a big number again here. So obviously he hit last week at Martinsville with a nice third place finish, which he also did at Martinsville in the spring. So very consistent there. And that's what caused him to hit that for us last week. Well, guess what? He finished third place here last season, Rod, in this very race. You like that. But then he was also 6th and 7th place in the 2 stages. So throughout the day, he was just really good, and he was running up there near the top 5 and ends up finishing inside the top 5 in third place. So you like that. Again, third place last week at Martinsville. He was 7th at Bristol not very long ago. 6th place at Gateway, another comp track that we have. Third place at the first Martinsville race. He's good on short tracks. He's good on short flat tracks. All these tracks, other than Bristol, are short flat tracks. Bristol's still a short track. You like that? And he's been good here previously, which is the exact same handicapping that we used to hit this bet last week. Why not run it back and try to hit it one more time? Chase Purdy's Chase Purdy. We know that, right? He can be up and down, but it is still a Spire truck. It's a good, solid truck. We know what they're capable of, and when he does pop up and look good, he pops up and looks good, like he did last week, like he's done previously at Phoenix. 12-1, it's just too good to pass up on Chase Purdy at 12-1.
Well, it's so good that Andrew just placed the top 5 bet before you said it, not missing out.
Yeah, he tried to get on it twice last week, Rod. Caesar screwed him over both times. Unfortunately, didn't get in on it, so I know he was sad about that. So glad you got it in nice and early this time, Andrew. Great call. I think it's going to hit for us again this week.
You know, it's one of those instances where you say, oh, man, you know, I want to bet on Purdy, and the other one was Incredible Boys. Yeah, it was. That was Cody. That was all Cody. But no, look,
all the bets have been incredible, Rod.
All the bets that Cody makes are incredible week in and week out. But no, so it's one of those things where you're like, man, I really want to be on Purdy, and then you're like, I can't do it. Then he like hits, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I'm all over him, and then he doesn't hit. And you're like, I don't know if I can do this again, and then he hits, and you're like, screw it. So you just might as well do it every week, and hopefully you come out on top of it all. So, all right, my next bet is fueled by pure hot rage, and that is Taylor Gray. He is in Group B. I didn't want to take the championship group on Caesars, Group A. I want to take Group B instead, with Taylor Gray going up against Ankrum, Rhodes, and Carruth. Look, we talked about Ankrum just a second ago and how he's not really that great on this track, and you can't necessarily predict how well Ankrum is going to do. And more often than not, it's not that great at Phoenix. And the same can be said about Taylor Gray either. I'm not necessarily saying that Taylor's going to be the fastest person on this track, right? He finished 29th, 17th, and 23rd in his 3 career starts on this particular track. But so far this season, right, he's coming off of a 4th place finish last week at Martinsville, 10th place at Homestead, 2nd at Talladega. He did have a 5th place in Milwaukee, a 3rd place in Richmond, 4th place at Pocono, 8th place at Darlington. So at 6th place at Martinsville, he's getting it done on these smaller tracks. But literally the only reason that I'm saying Taylor Gray, especially to win this group at plus 240, is just white hot rage. Road rage makes you do things that you don't normally do, like brake check a semi truck that's riding your ass for no reason when you're in 2 lanes of traffic and you can't move over anyways. Again, I don't know how that happens. It's not a true story. However, I will say to that truck driver, get off my ass. And that's that. So with Taylor, he's going to do exactly that. He's going to be a man on a mission to prove that last week he should have been the winner of that race. And it doesn't matter who's in this group. I'm still picking Taylor to win it. But it does so happen to be Ankrum, Rhodes, and Carruth, because we know that Ben Rhodes, as good as I said he's probably going to end up being to beat Ankrum, right? So this can still hit if Rhodes beats Ankrum, so long as Taylor beats Rhodes and Ankrum. And then for Carruth, it's so frustrating because you want to cheer for him every single week, and he does well when he does well, but then there's weeks that he just sort of disappears. And, you know, this truck doesn't have too much to run for. He'll probably run in the top 10. He'll probably run in the top 8, but these other cars will also be running. These other trucks will also be running in the top 8. Therefore, it's going to be stiff competition for all of these guys. But I still think, like I said, Taylor has got the white hot rage of a man who, has already said so much, right? He got out and said, well, we'll see. And you're going to see respectful, clean racing. But Cody, I know that's code for y'all better watch your asses because I'm coming for each and every one of you. So give me Taylor Gray to win Group B at plus 240.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming for anybody, Rod, but maybe he is pissed off. Maybe he does have a good. So we'll see how he channels that anger. I think that will be interesting. Real quickly, Boji Joe was wanting to know: do trucks have the money advantage to be? Do the trucks have the money to have the advantage? I can read. Don't worry, I promise. I learned this in school. For the Final Four as the Cup does. So quickly, I look back through the last few years. Last season, last year, in the Cup Series, first time we had a different driver, wasn't in the championship for a win. Not the case in trucks. Like last year, Christian Eckes won, not in the Final Four. 2 years ago, Zane Smith did win and was the champion. Prior to that, Chandler Smith won, and Rhodes. It's like Rhodes was fifth last year, won the championship. Rhodes was third 3 years ago, won the championship. Then Sheldon Creed won the race in the championship. Stuart Friesen won the race, but not the championship. Brad Moffitt won the race, but not the championship. So if the pattern continues, Rod, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, then this year the champion is going to win the race if that pattern does keep up. So we'll see how that goes. But Rod, you bring up Taylor Gray. I'm going to bring up Christian Eckes. Christian Eckes' top 3 number is minus 130. I absolutely love this, Rod. Christian Eckes is going to be very, very good this weekend. And I'm all in. Now, I know the big concern is Taylor Gray is going to race him hard. Tricon's going to race him hard. He didn't make any friends last week. Yes, I understand that. But, Rod, there's been a couple of things. Last season, this truck race, in this race, was a disaster, right? You had playoff guys wrecking each other, and everybody was saying how embarrassed they were, all this stuff. Then you have all the stuff that goes on last week in all 3 series, right? Not just one, all 3 series. NASCAR is going to sit these drivers down in the drivers' meeting, and they are going to say, if you fuck around and fuck this up, you will not be racing next year. You will be suspended to start the season. Guys like Taylor Gray are going full-time in a Joe Gibbs racing car next year. He cannot afford to be suspended going into Daytona and start the year off, and then he'd have to apply for a waiver to run for points. Like, absolute disaster. And I fucking promise you, somebody from Joe Gibbs is telling him, watch what you fucking do, right? Don't fuck it up. And so, and the saying's been going around, revenge is a dish best served cold. Maybe he'll get Eckes next year in the Xfinity Series. Maybe he does. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Not going to happen this week. Is Taylor Gray going to race Eckes harder if he gets to him? Yes. Rod, if Kyle Larson is racing Tyler Reddick Sunday in the Cup race, since his teammate William Byron is racing for the championship, do you think Kyle Larson is going to race Tyler Reddick harder? Yes, he is. So if we're going to go through every single person we could possibly bet on to win a championship and say, well, somebody might race him harder, well, then that takes everybody out, and what are we even doing here? I'm not worried about it, but that's been a hot topic around. Multiple podcasts have talked about it. The Discord's obviously been all over and stuff, and so that's my feelings on it. I think, if he gets a chance, like, he's going to block him, right? I know there was some talk. I think it was Dirty Modeau maybe was saying, oh, you pick the pit stall right in front of him and get in his way. Okay, maybe that happens, whatever. But I'm not putting any of that into my thing because it's just there's so many different things that can go wrong, right, for people. And, Rod, you can't block somebody if you can't catch them, and Christian Eckes is not going to be caught this week. I love the top 3 number because it does give you this is like Almirola top 3 last week, right? He was the best car, ends up winning the race. Got iffy at the end there. Maybe you needed to fall back on the top 3. Same thing for Eckes this week at minus 130. He won this race last season as a non-playoff driver. Still went out there, kicked everybody's ass, won the race. And that was not the Christian Eckes that we saw this season, right? We've talked a lot about Taylor Gray last season, different Taylor Gray than we saw this season. Same with Christian Eckes. He wasn't the Christian Eckes that we had this year. Oh, by the way, the regular season champion, the Christian Eckes that led a lap in 21 of the 22 Truck Series races we've had this season. The Christian Eckes who's dominated on short, flat tracks this season, Rod. He led 187 laps last week on his way to winning at Martinsville. He led all 150 laps at Nashville, 133 laps at the first Martinsville race, 144 laps at Bristol first race. He has 3 wins. They're all on short tracks this season. 3 wins, 2 of them on short tracks, and Nashville tossed in there as well. He's also finished, Rod, in the top 3 in 8 of the last 11 races. Maybe it's Heim time. Maybe Corey Heim beats him. Maybe it's Majeski time and he beats him. Doesn't matter. If you got the top 3 bet at -130, I absolutely love Christian Eckes this week.
F around and find out. That is where we're all about it. So, no, I love it. I love when politicians use F around and find out.
Dude, was the Philly DA or whatever. He's like, he didn't even say fuck. Like, it was literally F around and find out. Well, not fuck around and find out. It was F around and find out. Just with like his like stoic mob looking face. And you're like, ooh, don't cross that guy.
I will not be effing around. Thank you very much for the warning, sir. I will take my toys and go home. All right.
Jeez, real quick. Andrew, he's looking out for you people. I know this is the truck show, but MGM just dropped Xfinity odds. Austin Hill's 50-1. That's clearly a mistake. Maybe they'll pull it later, but go fucking bet on it if you can, because that is a stupid number for somebody in the championship 4.
F around and find out for sure on that one. Cody, look up what his odds are in a couple of other books. I
gave him out at 15-1 yesterday, and that was the best number I could find. So 50-1 is quite the difference.
Ooh, yes, for sure. All right. I'm going to take my winning truck number, and I'm going to take the winning truck under 18.5 this week at -105. This really I know that this doesn't cover Eckes, but it also gives you Enfinger. It gives you Nick Sanchez. It gives you Connor Mosack if he decides to accidentally win. It gives you Tyler Ankrum if he accidentally wins. I think really what this does for me, this is the lower number of the two, right? -105. And I know that the other side of this was not something that I wanted to touch, but I like the under because it gives you, it just kind of hedges you a little bit. And I do think that there's some guys underneath this number that can win it. Like I said, I think Sanchez could end up winning this. Obviously, I think Grant Enfinger could end up winning this. And if you don't have, a chance to go for the Tyler Ankrum, but you don't have the balls to do it, then there's your chance. And then, of course, just like Boji said, it's Heim time, right? That number 11 truck, it also gives you that one as well. Plus, it gives you Taylor Gray if Taylor Gray decides to win this. William Sawalich could accidentally win this race too. So yeah, I mean, listen, there's Enfinger, there's Heim. It's kind of like what I said last week, yesterday, the day before this day, whenever that is, for the Xfinity Series show. If you give me a number set with 2 of the championship drivers in it, then I will go ahead and take that as well, because it's a decent, and plus at -105, it's not heavily juiced, so it's almost close to even money to take that. So yeah, give me the Heim time part of this, because the number for Corey Heim to win this freaking race is like +165. Jesus Christ, are you serious? So give me the -105 part of it, because guess what? If Grant Enfinger does win this, then I'm still covered, and I didn't lose money trying to bet on Corey Heim to win this race, even though he probably will.
Yeah, there's a number of guys under this number that can win. Obviously, the 2 main ones you're concerned over are Christian Eckes and Ty Majeski, but if you want to bet on one of those guys to win, maybe you hedge it with this opposite side. That gives you the coverage on Corey Heim. Yeah, so and here we're going to get into the outright. Spoiler alert, neither of us are on Corey Heim, and I think it's not because we don't think that he can get it done, but because he had a pretty good season last year and still didn't get it done in this race. And we saw Zane Smith struggle for years and finally get it done. If Corey Heim wins this race, he's obviously the favorite. He should be the champion. He's had a great season, but he hasn't quite had it on short tracks, Rod. And Christian Eckes is going to win the race and the championship, and you should bet him at 3-1. I just read off all the fucking races he's dominated and killed everybody. This is going to be a Christian Eckes domination. He is going to start on the pole. He is going to lead a fuck ton of laps, and it's going to be hard for anybody to challenge him. You're going to see Heim up there at times, and then he's going to fall back, and you're going to be like, man, why doesn't Heim have it today? Like, what's going on? Christian Eckes is going to run away. Taylor Gray is going to be like, chasing him around like a toddler, trying to catch him. Not going to catch him, so it's not going to matter, Rod. All over Christian Eckes this week at 3-1. Absolutely love him. Boji Joe wants to know what happened to Enfinger. He's 12-1. That's what happened to him. I'm betting on him too, because all the same reasons I made earlier in the show for him to finish inside the top 5 is why I love him to win this race. He's been prepping for this race, knowing he's in the championship since October. Grant Enfinger, if there's any type of late race caution especially, he's going to be the type of guy that's going to get this done. But also, if it turns into a strategy race, he's the Joey Logano of the Truck Series. He can make it work, right? And he could just go out and kick everybody's ass, too. He's really good on short flats. This is his type of racing. That truck has obviously lived up to it. I wouldn't be shocked by a Grant Enfinger. Really, honestly, Rod, all 4 of these drivers, I think, are very capable of just being the best truck on the day and going out and winning. So getting one of them at 12-1 in Grant Enfinger, much like we talked about yesterday in the Xfinity Series with Hill and Allmendinger, being one of these championship guys just shouldn't have you so far back. So, yeah, give me Grant Enfinger as well at 12-1. That's it, Rod. Those are my 2 outrights. Christian Eckes, Grant Enfinger. I really think that one of these 2 guys is going to be in victory lane at the end of the day.
2? There's only 2. What the heck?
Well, if you're confident in these 2, Rod, I don't need any more. Why play another one when one of these 2 guys is going to win?
That's actually true. And, honestly, too, we talked about it in all 3 series. Like, you gotta at least take the longer shot. And by the way, BetMGM has AJ Allmendinger at 25-1.
Just saw that. Yeah.
So
if you're on, I mean, you might, even if you're not on him, go bet him, because why would you not? Getting 2 of the 4 at 50-1 and 25-1, Custer should be really good and Allgaier should be really good. But look at Christopher Bell, was 63 laps into the race last year. Probably could have won that race. I had picked him as my winner, blew a brake rotor and his day was over just like that. And all of a sudden now there's only 3 guys left and you have 2 of them at 25-1 or bigger. Yeah, you have to take it. So
indeed.
Yeah, great call by Andrew there.
Okay. My next bet involves this. Oh, you can't hear it, can you? Oh, well.
Quiet, but
it's piano music. Music or the piano man. My outright is going to be Ty Majeski, because again, when you're talking about taking these championship 4 guys, plus 450 for Ty Majeski, right? And now that we joke and we kid and we say, the pianos are going to fall, and they probably will fall, and that's fine. But still, 4.5-1 for a guy who's going to be running for the championship. You just can't pass those type of things up, especially when, like we said, Corey Heim at 165, right? He could very easily not win this race, and Ty Majeski could very easily win this race. And so for me, there's no numbers that I'm going to go on this, because we've talked about Majeski all year long. We know how bad he can be in certain circumstances, and we know how good he can be in certain circumstances. So for me, this is just a sheer numbers play of a championship 4 guy, because you just, like I said, you got to have something on the ones you think can pull this through. And I think I do believe that Ty Majeski, when the moment is right, can get it done. And so far, he's proved us wrong more than he's proved us right. But the fact that we continue to go back to him should say something about how we kind of feel about Ty Majeski being a driver. And he's in the championship 4 for a reason, right? This is not just a fluke. This is not something that's like, oh, he doesn't belong there. But, he's gonna be okay. And I think he led 48 laps in this race last year, started on the outside pole, ended up finishing in 14th. He was part of that whole kerfuffle, right? So yeah, give me Ty Majeski at plus 450 for this one.
Yeah, I don't really have an argument against it other than his inconsistencies, but that doesn't matter if he shows up and he's on this weekend. He's really good at short tracks. He's good at short flats. This should set up well for him. So it's hard to argue against it, Rod. TK checking in, Austin Hill 41-1 there. Books don't know anything, I think is the answer to your question. I think it is an error, like Andrew was just saying, with the 50-1 here. So yeah, go take it, because I think that is a mistake, and it will be worth having going into this weekend.
Indeed. Dos Flacco's. Finally, I'm talking good about Ty Majeski. So gotta love that one as well. All right, guys, everybody and gals, get out your pen and paper. It is time to go over our bets for this NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series championship race. And then, of course, for those of you on the YouTube, time to take your little screenshots so you have them for your reference. Cody started you out with Grant Enfinger as a top 5 truck at plus 125. I said take, damn it, I haven't watched wrestling in so long, and I still want to say Cody Rhodes. Ben Rhodes over Tyler Ankrum at minus 115. Cody said that Caden Honeycutt would be a top 5 truck at plus 600. I said the Sanchez would be a top 3 truck at plus 135. And then I tossed in Daniel Dye, Michael Waltrip's favorite son, at 20-1 to be a top 5 truck. Cody gave you Stuart Friesen, say his name, top 5 truck at plus 1,100, to which I will get myself a nice steaming plate of poutine after that happens. Then I gave you Lane Riggs as a top Ford truck at minus 115. Cody said Chase Purdy, top 5, 12-1. I said Taylor Gray would win Group B over on Caesars at plus 240 over Ankrum, Rhodes, and Carruth. Cody gave you Christian Eckes as a top 3 truck at minus 130. I said the winning truck would be under 18.5 at minus 105. And then Cody gave you Christian Eckes at 3-1 and Finger at 12-1. I said, play us a song, Piano Man. And Ty Majeski takes home the championship and the win at plus 450. All right, Cody, that is the Truck Series race. We have champion, or do you have fantasy picks to make real quick? Or are we going to?
Yeah, we're just real quick on the fantasy stuff. Yeah, NASCAR betting preview show has kicked our ass in the playoffs, Rod. They beat us by 82 points again last week. They now have a 294-point lead in the playoff segment. So congratulations to them on the victory. However, Rod, we still hold a 208-point lead in the full season standings. So I'm going to take some solace in that. Let's quickly make our picks here. Obviously, we can use any. Rajah Carruth is the only guy we've actually run out of starts on. So he's not an option. But we need one A driver, Rod. Eckes, Majeski, Enfinger. Who's the A driver?
Eckes, if you think he's going to take it also. Let's go with Eckes.
All right, we need 2 B drivers. We've got Grant Enfinger as one of our options. I think we should play him.
Okay.
Lane Riggs.
Yep, those 2. Boom.
Okay, boom. That's it. We're doing those 2 guys. And then, Rod, for our C driver, Sawalich, Moffitt, Boyd, Andretti, Connor Jones are our options. So Sawalich it is.
Yes. No, I don't want a snowplow as an option. Give me Sawalich.
Okay, there you go. That's it.
Boom.
Set for the final one. I think next year we might have to expand on that. Get more. We have that one listener in there that nobody knows who he is, but won't identify themselves. But try and get more listeners in and get more involved in that next week. I did see Boji Joe too, number 1 in like the MRN NASCAR Fantasy League or something. I was like, wow, dang, buddy, it's killing it. Hope they have a good prize for you over there. Our fantasy league, by the way, that we started up for the season way back in Daytona 500. We'll wrap all that stuff up next week. And one guy's been kicking everybody's ass. I don't remember who it is, but we'll talk about you next week and get prizes out to you and all that good stuff.
Indeed. All right. Well, then, yes, this is the end of the picks show for the season, unfortunately, but don't fear. There's DFS tomorrow and Underdog plays as well. And then we'll recap next week. Don't go away, guys. Don't wait till February. We'll still be here all season long. We've got tons of car history to give you. Just we're not going to do that for you. But yeah,
there's not going to be time for that, right? There is oh man, we were having this conversation yesterday, but there is just so much to talk about. Like, I don't even think it's going to feel like there's an off season because there's so much to discuss. Futures are going to start trickling out really quickly, like they did the past couple of seasons. Plenty of stuff to talk about. And thank you, Boji Joe. I appreciate you giving us some of the credit for being number 1 over there in your fantasy league. So shout out to you. All right, Rod, that's it for race pick shows this year. Back tomorrow for DFS Underdog. Should be out nice and early in the morning for you. It's going to be a good one. And we'll see you guys all next week. Recap shows. Might have some other stuff planned in the works. So stay tuned. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Click the bell. Never know when we'll pop on and go live and chat with you guys. So see you guys again next week. And in the meantime, Rod, follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. Find all of my stuff there. And there is a fucking lot of it. So appreciate you guys reading all the articles and stuff like that. It always means a lot. So good luck. Congratulations, Christian Eckes, on his 2024 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship rod. See you next week.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bottom. Everything I've got going on, just like Cody. It's a ton of stuff. Follow me for my Thursday Night Football picks on Sportsbook Review. I've got, what do I got today? I've got Mark Andrews as my first touchdown for Thursday night for the Ravens, and then Jamar Chase. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for the Bengals. So gotta love both of those. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the DFS portion of it, and then Monday or Tuesday rather for the recap. So, all right. Love you all. Thanks for a great season. We will see you guys on the flip side. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
Cast away on the mind.